Hey, it's Mr. Barr, and this is the practice test for function notation. And once I do it, then we'll put it into Edulastic and see if I did things correctly. All right, so we need to evaluate this function at -5. Zoom in a little bit for you. There you go. So I'm going to start with -5 squared. So -5 squared minus 3 times -5, -3 times -5. So that's going to be 25 plus 15. Why is it a positive 15? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. Add those numbers together and I get a 40. Boom. What is the range of this function? Well, range is what can come out of this function. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to plug in like a negative, a positive, a 0. If I plug in a 0, out comes a 4. If I plug in a 1, out comes a 5. If I plug in a -1, out comes a 5. So there's no way for me to get anything less than a 4 out of this. So what is the range of this? It's 4 and up. All real numbers greater than or equal to 4. Because there's no way for me to get a 3 coming out or anything less than a 4. What numbers must be excluded from the domain of the following? Domain is what goes in. Well, looking at this guy, I can't put in a 0, because if I put in a 0, the denominator goes to 0, so I can't put in a 0. There's more to this question, though. This one, I can't have the denominator go to 0, and if I put in a 6, it'll go to 0, so I can't put in a 6, so I have to exclude the 6. This one, it's actually just a really big square root. Yeah, we could probably clean that up a little bit. So square root of x minus 1. This, it can go to 0, but it can't go negative. I can't take the square root of a negative. So I can put in a 1. If I put in a 1, it goes to 0. If I put in something less than 1, it's going to destroy itself. So all real numbers less than 1 have to be excluded from the domain. I can't put in a 0. I can't put in a 0.9. I can put in a 1. Okay, look at the following two relations and then select all the numbers that are not in the domain. Well, it's kind of hard to see this one, but here's the first one. The domain is the x's, so I have 1, 3, -5, -3. So I think I did it right here. 1, 3, -5, and -3, and then I also have this 8, 9, 10, 13, 8, 9, 10, 13. Okay, and I have to decide which numbers are not, over here, what numbers are not listed. So 4, not listed, that's why I selected it. 5 is listed, 7, not listed, selected. 8 is there, 2, not listed, I selected it. 13 and 3 are both over there. All right, we have another little function to evaluate. This time we're going to evaluate it at -7. So I'm going to do -7 squared times 6. So -7 squared times 6 minus, so -2 times -7 is 14, and then I add them up. That gives me a 308. We're going to evaluate this function at all these different values. So I'm going to plug in a 0. If I plug in a 0, I get 90 minus 0 minus 0, which is 90. If I plug in a 1, I get a 90 minus a 3 minus a 7, which is an 80. If I plug in a 2, I get a 90 minus a 12, minus a 6. -3 times 2 is 6. -6. And then 2 squared is 4. -7 times 4 is -28. Boom, and I subtract all that and I get a 56. I plug in a 3, so 90. -3 times 3 is -9. 3 squared is 9, times -7 is -56. -63, excuse me. Yep. And then subtract those, you get 18. And our final one is plug in a 4, so 90 minus 3 times 4 is -12. 4 squared is 16, times -7 is -112. Subtract that, and you get a -34. So here I'm going to decide which function goes with which sequence. And here's how I did it. Actually, start with this guy. Plug in a 1. -5 times 1 is -5 minus 7 is -13. If I plug in a 1, out comes a 13. If I plug in a 1, out comes a 12, -12. So that's why I selected this one. Plug in a 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. -3 to the 0 is 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Find the one that starts with 8. It's that one. Plug in a 1. 10 minus 6 is 4. This one starts with 4. Plug in a 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. -2 to the 0 is 1. 1 times -5 is -5. Boom, that worked. Okay. Which of these graphs, look at the graphs and determine which statement is true. Okay, which statement is true? Graph A is not a function. No, that's a function. Vertical line test, that's a function. Graph B is a function since all circles are functions. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, it's not even that one, so it's not that. Graph A and B are both functions since a vertical line would only touch the graph in one place. Yes. Graph C is not a function since a vertical line touches the graph at exactly one point. No, it touches it in 2 points. So it's going to be C, vertical line test. Is the following relation a function? Why or why not? I plug in a 1, I get out a 2. I plug in a 1, I get out a 3. Nope, that's not a function. No, it's not a function since the number 1 shows up twice. No, that's okay. No, it's not a function because of the points 1, 2, and 1, 3. Yes, that's right. Yes, it is a function. No, that's wrong. No, it's not a function since the number 3 shows up twice. No, that's not an issue. It's because of these 2 points right there. 1, 2, 1, 3. Oh, that's it. All right, let's see how it works with Edulastic. This was the practice test, starting the assignment. We said the first one was a 40. This was C. This one is 0. And it's got multiple parts, 6. And D. See, this guy was ACE. F of -7 is 308. 90, 80, 90, 80, 56. 18, -34. Okay, yes. Let's see. No, it's not a function because it's whatever and whatever. Don't need to check it, submit it. How did I do? 100%. So that looks good. Thank you for watching.